Hello everybody and welcome back to our Celpip course. My name is Marco and in today's fifth class, I will be reviewing and giving feedbacks to some of my students' recordings. For homework, I told them to record themselves, to pick any of the speaking tasks, send them to me, so they sent their recordings. I compiled them, collected them, so you have good and bad examples. You can listen to them and you can hear what are the most common mistakes while I'm giving you tips and tricks on how to improve yourself and how to make them look and sound better. In the folder, I included all these audio files that I will be using today, that we will be listening together. Some of them are not really listenable. Maybe the audio quality is not so good, but you can always pause it and click them again from the folder, listen to them again. Don't worry, all of them are labeled, as you are going to see in the Word document called speaking tests. So in the Word document called speaking tests, you will always see with the bolded capital letters, red letters, you will see test 1, task 1, or test 1, task 2, and so on and so forth. You will always know that those are audio files that I'm referring to and that I'm listening to at the moment. And you will see, of course, what tasks are we referring to as well. So before we begin, let's remind ourselves what are the speaking performance standards here. We have 4 categories: content and coherence, vocabulary, listenability, and task fulfillment. The factors upon you will be graded are number of ideas, quality of ideas, organization of ideas, examples, and supporting details in terms of content and coherence category. In terms of vocabulary, you need to have a good word choice, suitable use of words and phrases, range of words and phrases, and you need to be precise and accurate. In terms of listenability, you need to have a good rhythm, pronunciation, and intonation. Try to make less pauses, interjections, self-correction is fine. In terms of grammar and sentence structure, you need to work on that on your own. Read any kind of book 10 minutes a day to improve your grammatical complexity and your overall vocabulary, to get familiar with different kind of things and topics. Also, you need to have a variety of sentence structure. Yeah, this is good. For grammar and for vocabulary, just, read some books in English. 10 minutes a day is enough. I know you have that time because time is all you have, right? In terms of task fulfillment, you need to be relevant. You need to complete all the tasks. If it says like, give me 2 or 3 suggestions, give 2 or 3 suggestions, not 1. And you need to have appropriate tone and all that within the time frame. So I also included a lot of those from task 1 to task 8, a lot of those mind mappings where you're going to see all the important details, the structure, how to make it, when you write it first, and then after that when you record yourself as you practice. This is going to be very useful for you. So make sure you pay attention to them. I know you already have these documents, but it's always nice to remember because repeating is the best way to study, right? Okay, so with no further ado, let's go to speaking tests Word document. Open it up, and we are going to start with task 1. We're going to listen to this right now. As you're going to see, I will be using notes, and I will be writing notes. This is going to help me give you better feedback. I always do that. So our first task is, of course, giving an advice. It says, your friend wants to rent a movie tonight. Give your friend advice about which movie to rent and explain why it is a good movie. Recording here is 90 seconds, preparation is 30 seconds. So let's listen to it. Task 1.
Hey Bob, how's it going? It's been a while. So, I heard you want to watch a movie tonight. That's great. You know what? Lately I just came across this movie. The name is Kingdom of Heaven. Fantastic, amazing screenplay. I'm sure you would really enjoy. Especially the movie is about medieval times, and I know you like medieval movies. So why don't you go rent that movie? It speaks about Jerusalem, and it speaks about how Salahuddin it's also history. I know you love history. So this is an apt movie for you. It will get you connected with your interests, and I'm sure you will love it. You love action, adventure. So let me know how it goes. I'll be waiting for your call. Cheers.
Okay, this one is so believable. I like the tone, I like the rhythm, I like the introduction. It was really nice. I felt as if the person is talking to a real person somewhere, as if this is like the real recording of a phone conversation. So it sounds nice. However, it should be 90 seconds, and this one is only 56 seconds, right? The student repeated this mistake many times, so it's really hard for many people to stick within the time limit. Once you learn to do something, it's really hard to break the habit. So pay attention to this. First and seventh tasks of speaking test are always 90 seconds. Another thing that the student failed to provide is giving three different suggestions. The student only gave one suggestion, and here you need to give like 2 to 3 different suggestions. It said you should like watch the movie Kingdom of Heaven. It has a nice introduction, nice tone. So the student provided really good arguments, but only for just one suggestion. It said it's a history movie about Saladin trying to conquer Jerusalem, and yeah, it's a historic movie. The guy's gonna like it. That's all nice, but give me 2 other movies, or at least since you have 90 seconds. Probably you're going to waste 10 seconds for introduction and finish. So what you have is 70 seconds where you are going to provide either 2 very long suggestions or 3 suggestions with supporting arguments. So pay attention to be within the time frame in any of these tasks. And in this specific task, make sure you give at least 2 or 3 different suggestions. All right, but overall, I like the tone. It's really nice. It's really believable. All right, so let's listen to the next one. In the folder, you're going to find Test 1, Task 1, Part 3. So let's listen to Test 1, Task 1, Part 3.
Hey Rachel, how's it going? I just received your text and I'm so glad that finally you were taking a break from work. You're such a workaholic and you definitely need this time off. Since you want to watch a movie tonight, I would definitely recommend The Choice. It is now available for rent on Amazon Prime. It is a romantic comedy film, which I am certain that you will love because ever since we were young, we always loved the idea of laughing, crying, and feeling everything in between while we watch something, right? Not only that, the storyline and the cast are superb. You could definitely relate because it is about young lovers who eventually fell out of love because the time tested their patience and their love for each other. Their jobs and responsibilities drifted them apart, but in the end, they still chose to be with each other, continued their relationship, made it work, and made it last forever, just like how you and Rob's love story is. That's why I admire you guys, and this movie is just great for you guys to watch. So let me know how you guys think, and let's see each other very soon, okay? Cheers.
Again, this one is also beautiful. You see the tonality is very nice. The student is very suggestive, right? The tonality is good because it doesn't say, hey, you should watch this movie. This movie is good. You should totally try this movie. And it's like, it's like you need to be convincing like a salesman pretty much, as you're going to see in a task 5. This is how it works, basically. So it's like, hey, you should totally watch this movie. Again, it's believable, as if I'm listening to the real phone conversation with a real person. The same problem happened here. The person only used one movie, right? So she provided movie The Choice. You're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, the cast is super popular. So she was explaining movie, but she was only giving one suggestion, right? Give me at least another suggestion so the task will be fulfilled. So you need to provide 2 or 3 different suggestions or advices. At this point, at some point, the student didn't know what to say anymore, right? And also, you want to avoid like over explaining. Like, why do you spoil the movie to me now? It's not really realistic. If you're talking about a movie, you say, you should totally watch this movie. Oh my God, it's so good. I cannot tell you everything. Trust me, you really need to watch this. So, it also needs to be believable, right? But overall, I like the tonality, I like the rhythm, the pronunciation is just beautiful. But you also, here you can see, like, even though if the students, you can speak amazing English, you can have amazing English speaking skills, but you need to be within the time frame also. The student spoke only 1 minute and 22 seconds, it needs to be 1 minute 30 seconds, right? 90 seconds overall. And the student needs to fulfill all the tasks. So even though this student had amazing pronunciation, beautiful tonality, great rhythm, everything was nice, well, you didn't provide good suggestions and you spoke only 1 minute 22 seconds. So that's not good. You don't want to have your points deducted because you don't understand the structure. That's why it's important for you to check the structure one more time and look at these mind maps, right? So let's move to the next one. Next audio file that we are going to play is test 1, task 2. Yeah. So what is our task 2 here? It says, so preparation is 30 seconds, recording is 60 seconds. Talk about a time when you interacted with an animal. Maybe you can talk about a family pet, farm or zoo animal, or an animal in the wild. What kind of animal was it? What happened? And why do you remember this experience? So you talk about the animal, what kind of animal, and what happened, and why do you remember this experience, right? So those are 4 things, most important things from this part. Let's play task 1, task 2.
Multiple animal encounters, but the most remarkable or the most memorable one is the one when I actually got face to face with a tiger and I could pet it. So we went to this place in Bangkok. It's called the Tiger Temple, and we came finally face to face with this tiger where I could actually touch it, pet it, and it was an amazing experience to actually touch the real tiger's skin, walk the tiger, pet it. The best part was when my son walked in along with me and the tiger literally thought that it was a chicken drumstick coming to its head. And that was really hilarious. So these guys, they hold back the tiger and we could control it and then we tamed it. Overall, that was one of the best encounters we had with an animal.
Yeah, the funny thing is here, like, why is it so hilarious that the tiger wanted to show your son as a chicken drumstick, right? I mean, of course, as you're going to see in the strategy, it says that if it was a funny experience or if it was something, silly, you can always use humor here. So you don't have to be too serious about this, talking about experience, task 2. Well, okay, so let's see. The introduction was really nice. The person had a really nice tonality here. The rhythm was pretty nice too. It talked about he had multiple encounters with animals, but he's talking about the tiger. So, okay, you talk about a tiger. It was in the wild. It was in a Bangkok. So where it happened, it says, so in terms of task fulfillment, we know that where it happened, what animal was it, and why do you remember the experience? Okay, so again, the only not really believable thing was that the point that you thought how tiger thinking about your son as food was hilarious. Like, yeah, nobody thinks like this. But listen, it's okay. You try to use a little bit of humor. This is a nice practice within the time frame, which is important. Maybe you needed 3 or 4 seconds. You had maybe 3 or 4 seconds left, but that's okay at this point. Now, since you need to describe this vividly, you need to provide every sense possible, right? As much as possible. So touch, visual senses, hearing. Maybe you want to talk how the tiger sounded. It would be really funny if the tiger was, instead of, expecting like, roar, expecting the roar of a tiger, you hear him meow or something. That would be funny. That would be silly. But I need to know, how did the tiger look like? Now, I know how it looks like, but I never petted one. How did it feel when you pet it? Was his skin rough? Was his skin soft and fluffy, and oh my god, tigers are so fluffy, right? You need to provide me with some extra vivid details here so you can make this work. As you're going to see in the strategies for task 2, talking about an experience, you're going to see that you need to provide some extra things here. Maybe you need to shorten your introduction and shorten your outro, or like the story about the tiger thinking your son is a chicken drumstick. Instead of that, you can use it, since you have like maybe 7 to 10 seconds for introduction, 7 to 10 seconds to wrap it up. You can use these like 40 seconds that you have left to describe the tiger itself, right? How did it look like? How did it, sound? How did it feel under your fingers when you petted him or her? So yeah, but overall very good because it's within the time frame. Let's listen to another example of task 1, task 2. Let's listen task 1, task 2, part 2.
I remember a very special moment I had when I went to the dog park last week. As I was eating my sandwich, a huge black dog approached me and then started wagging his tail, which signified that he wanted me to pet him, and of course I did. However, I got pretty scared when his owner told me that he's actually not a fan of humans. But I guess I was an exception, which made that experience, that encounter, really memorable. Aside from the fact that I approached dogs first and not the other way around, I would never forget his smiling eyes. Like, his size, you would get him mistaken for a wild dog or something, but he was not. He was just absolutely sweet and adorable. I think he is a mix of Burmese mountain dog and a poodle. That's where he got his cuteness from. But overall, I would never forget him. It was a great experience.
Beautiful. All right, this is within the time frame. 1 minute, 2 seconds too long. You have to know that after 1 minute, it just stops recording. That's it. Whatever you said up to that point, you said it. So, beautiful pronunciation, good rhythm. You had a couple of pauses here and there. You're going to notice that these pauses take away a lot of seconds here. If you make like 1 or 2 pauses, that's 5 seconds bye-bye already. So pay attention to that. So you went to the dog park. There was a huge black dog. So in terms of task fulfillment, you explained what kind of animal was it, where was it, what happened there, you pet it. There's also what I like. Here's an emotional value of the story, because the dog, you find out that usually doesn't like people, right? Or is afraid of people, or not really comfortable with people or human touch. And it approached you, which kind of makes the whole situation special. You said remarkable. I like how you use it. So you have to remember that when you're explaining something, like when you're putting like emotional value to any story, just like in your native language, you have 50 or hundreds of different words for different kind of emotions or states or feelings, the states of being. So you can use those to explain. Don't use very afraid or very happy or very funny, right? That's just lazy. There are ways. Please Google. How can you rephrase very funny, hilarious, very afraid, horrified, and at this point, she said it was memorable and it was remarkable. So yeah, try to use a more complex words here, more fancy words. Not this student, but usually, I'm just saying, usually you should do this. So last pauses, it was wild dog, poodle. Maybe I'm mixing. Yeah, you mentioned it's a mix between poodle and some other breed. I forgot what is the name of this breed, but the good thing about this is that you kind of mentioned how it looks like. So he got this cute part from the poodle genes, right? You mentioned something like that. But I would like to know like how it felt again under touch, when you petted the dog, how it felt. Was he short hair, long haired? Was he dirty? What colors did the dog have? Was it he or she? So that wasn't really clear to me. So last pauses, overall, looks pretty good. So let's try, I think we have another example here from, so this is task 1, task 2, part 2, there's no part 3. Okay, so let's go to task 1, task 3. This is task 1, task 3. We're going to listen to this one. You need to prepare 30 seconds for this. The recording is 60 seconds only. This is the picture of the cafe that you're going to see. So let's listen to this picture right now.
Mainly, the picture can be expressed as a scene of a typical day on a cafe. On the foreground, there are two baristas serving the orders to the customers. The other one is a coffee to go for a man in suit, and the other one is a soup for a pregnant woman with 2 children. Moving on to the background, there is this young guy who is also a staff of this cafe who is bussing the table to make it available for the next customer to dine in. And on the left hand side, there is a young man helping out his grandmother to pick something out from the menu because it is far for the old lady to see. So he is pointing out things and letting her know the food that she might like. And that overall sums up my thoughts.
Very nice. So this had a really nice introduction. The person here uses prepositions of location nicely. This looks pretty good. You know, foreground, background, moving to the, you know, she's moving around the picture, so it has like it's very fluid. So this is nice. This is good. She mentioned a pregnant woman. She mentioned person preparing the table. She mentioned the man in the suit taking coffee and the pregnant lady taking the soup. And there's like this grandma helper with his grandma, right, in the back. Since you didn't have much time, you didn't mention a situation happening. Maybe you mentioned those 2 girls drinking coffee in the background. And there are also like 2 people walking dogs in the back. But if you don't have time, you don't really have to mention everything that is happening in the picture, just most important features here. And also take a look, the things that you are going to describe are the same things that you will probably mention in the next task, where you will be talking about what is going to happen next. You will be making predictions. So the same things that you pick now, probably you're going to talk about them in the task 4, right? So pay attention to that. But overall, this looks nice. It's within the time frame. Beautiful example. All right. Task 1, task 3, part 2. Let's listen to this one.
There is a picture of a cafe we can see here. It looks like there are 7 to 8 customers present in the cafe currently. There are 3 employees we can see in this photo. One employee, she is serving food to the customer. The customer has 2 children with her. One child is sitting on the stroller and playing with the bubble solution, and the other child is standing with her while she's getting the food. On the right hand side, there is one guy who is here to get coffee probably, and the male employee trying to serve coffee to him. There is another worker here who is trying to clean the table on the right hand side. Another person on the left hand side is trying to help one old lady. The lady is trying to walk with the walker, but it looks like that guy is helping her to walk a little bit better. There are 2 girls sitting on the table at the right end of the cafe. It looks like they're having some interesting gossip while they're drinking coffee. At the very far outside of the cafe, it looks like there are 2 people who are trying to walk their dogs. Yes, that's all about it.
All right. Well, too much hesitation, right? I don't feel any self-confidence here. So you're not really happy. I can already see you're not happy. First, before I reviewed and gave you a feedback, you were not really happy about your performance, but that's okay, right? That's why we're here. We're practicing. The practicing is always the best. So it lasted 1 minute and 32 seconds. That's 32 seconds too long, right? You don't have that time. You only have 1 minute here to explain everything. So you took, like, you explain every details you see here. Remember, just most important, you have to mention the most important details. So if you mention only the most important details here, and if you mentioned maybe what's going to happen with your um, yeah, if you only mention the most important details here, and if you use the if you don't hesitate so much, if you didn't hesitate so much, you would be within the time frame. But you were doing a lot of right, like this. That means you're not really comfortable with this situation. You're not comfortable about talking or recording yourself in front of, like, basically the robot. So that's why your tone is not good. That's why you had a lot of hesitation. And believe me, that hesitation takes away, it took away, I believe, maybe 15 seconds from your overall time. So you did use some really nice prepositions of location, moving to in the foreground and the background, moving to the left, on the right hand side and left hand side, whatever. But yeah, too much breathing and too much hesitation. You don't have to explain everything what is in this picture. So what else? Yeah, you were too silent. But listen, in terms of self-confidence, in terms of this, if you want to practice, just pay attention, like chin up, shoulders back, and smile. It always works. Do that 5 minutes before every test, and then you will see how your it just sounds better. You will trick your nervous system. Like, this is scientifically proven, by the way. You will trick your nervous system into feeling bad because the sound always sounds better when you're, like, talking like this. Now, you don't have to do it too much. You don't have to put your back like your MMA fight, but just breathe nicely, and then you can have much better delivery. Okay. Yeah. This is how you can work on your overall tone. That is the biggest problem. If you didn't have so much hesitation, and if you were more confident about what you're talking about, you would cover all that within the time frame, I'm sure. That's why now you have 1 minute and 32 seconds instead of just 1 minute. But overall, I appreciate the effort. Thank you so much for sending this recording. Let's move on. What is the next one? Next one is, okay, test 1, task 4. Test 1, task 4. Let's listen.
Speaking part 1, if you make a prediction of the photo shown here, and it looks like that the lady with two children will go and try to sit on the table which the employee was cleaning, since she already got her food, and the guy who's getting her his coffee, he will see if he wants to eat something with it or not. Meanwhile, the lady was walking with the worker. She will be at the counter by now in the future, and then she'll order something. There is a chance when these two girls who were gossiping will finish their coffee and they'll leave the cafe soon. Also, the outside of the cafe, there were two people who were trying to walk their dogs. Looks like the dogs will cross each other and probably bark at each other.
All right. This was 1 minute and 7 seconds, but it's okay. Probably the student forgot to press, stop recording. So let's say this is within the 1 minute, 1 minute time limit. So, all right. It needs the better introduction. If you're not sure what you're going to say, you can always begin with anticipating what is going to happen next, or you can always say, like, in this picture, what is going to happen next is, right? So always use these ones, copy paste it in your brain somewhere so you can always use it, and therefore you will have better and more time to talk about what is going to happen in the picture. I believe that your predictions were pretty, reasonable and relatable and realistic. Right? Some students go into deep stories and they develop like a writing. No, you're not writing a novel here or a new movie. So keep it simple, okay? Which this student did actually. Tonality also doesn't. Tonality is not the best here. Too silent, too much hesitation. Again, believable predictions, but introduction and wrapping up needs to be better. So introduction, always you can use something really easy, like what's going to happen in this picture next is, and you can always finish it with, and those are the things I think will happen in this picture. And those are all the things I believe are going to happen. Whatever, use your own style, but remember it, because you don't want to waste your time on, hesitation and not knowing what the hell are you going to say next, right? All right. This was really good example here. Let's move forward. What is the next? So this was task 1, task 4. Let's listen. Task 1, task 4, part 2.
Anticipating the next moves, I am positive that the businessman will happily leave the cafe with his coffee and go on with his day. By this time, the young crew who was cleaning the table will feel a sense of relief, as it is now available for customers to use. Moreover, the woman with her 2 young boys, who are really excited to devour the soup, will now take their seats and enjoy the food. And lastly, the young guy who was helping her grandmother pick a food will now walk towards the cashier and ask them to make the food that his grandmother wants. And for sure, they will order it for to go as well, because there are no enough tables or room for them to eat inside. And those are the things I think will happen next.
Yeah, that was real quick, but you spoke 1 minute and 5 seconds. So you wouldn't be able to wrap it up so easy and so fast like this. And those are the things I would think will happen. Those are the things I believe are going to happen next. So, okay, listen, your introduction and your wrap up those were pretty good, but unfortunately not within the time limit. You have 1 minute here, pay attention to that. Even though you had pretty believable predictions, I have to say that you had too many pauses here. And those pauses were really long. What do I mean by pauses? It's when you're talking and then you suddenly stop for a couple of seconds, and this is basically, you get the picture what I'm talking about, and also try not to use right? Don't do that. Not only that you're wasting your time, but it's going to look bad when somebody is going to make a transcription of what you say here. So, not within the time limit, too much hesitation, pauses, too many long pauses, and but introduction and the wrap up was pretty nice. So that sounded good. That was a nice prediction. So let's move next. This is part 2, task 1, task 5. Let's move forward. Next audio that we are going to listen is task 1, task 5. So your niece has a 2-week break from school, and to keep her entertained, you're looking at summer camps you could suggest to her. You find 2 suitable options. Using the pictures and information below, choose the option that you prefer. In the next section, you will need to persuade your niece's mother that your choice is the better choice. If you do not choose an option, the computer will choose one for you. You do not need to speak for this part. Okay, so first, if you remember, first 60 seconds, you just choose one of those 2 options, and then you see Music Camp teaches children basic music symbols and rhythm, offers basic lessons for guitar, flute, and piano based on their preferences, practice simple songs together, $150 for 10 days. And Track and Field Camp has, it says, learn about healthy living and safe exercise techniques, helps children stay in shape during the holiday, $20 per 3-hour day for a maximum of 8 days. Choose which days you want to attend. So remember, here at this point, you need to be more persuasive, more suggesting. Also, you have to compare those 2 options and to compare all the stats. Let's listen. Let's play task 1, task 5.
I know you are very interested to put Sarah in track and field camp. we think about cost, I feel track and field camp is way expensive than the music camp. It's costing like $20 per 3 hour day, and whereas music camp is only for 150 for full-time days. And track camp is only allowed for 8 days, it's maximum. But music camp you can get it for 10 days, so she'll be entertained. She'll get to learn more things in those extra 2 days. So, and she'll also learn how to practice songs, and she has many options in music camp, such as she can play either guitar, flute, or piano. But I definitely know that she's gonna choose guitar, and I have already talked to her. I feel that she's more interested in going into the music field than sports. Please consider my option. I think it's best for her.
Well, yeah, your beginning was maybe, well, you said speaking task 1, speaking task 5. You don't have to say that when you record yourself, but yeah, then again, I suppose it was for me, so we can deduct some of these seconds here, but still it's too long. I mean, it's 1 minute 37 seconds. If it wasn't for many hesitations and long pauses, this would, sound much better. It was also too silent, so again, I have to remind you, feel free to pause at any time so you can listen to these audio files included in the folder. Well, basically, I would say that the outro was good. The student did compare all these stats here, but wasted time on explaining, giving like long arguments why the kid likes guitar and like, how much she likes guitar and blah blah blah. You don't need this. You can just go straight into comparing these different stats. My option has this, your option has that, and my option is better because it has this, your option is not so good because it has those things, and I think my option can win because your option is not so good in these parts. It does have those parts, but my option has those parts, right? So that's why my option is better. This is how you should speak, and you should be more like convincing, right? You don't want to say, hi honey, I know you want to go to honeymoon in Hawaii, but I think we should totally go to downtown LA because it's like has a gang members and a lot of shootings, and I think that's awesome, right? You don't want to speak, you don't want to use that kind of tone of voice. You want to be more like, hey, it's amazing, it has so many gunshots. I'm joking, but oh my god, like Hawaii is so much better. Listen to me, I know that you chose this option, or I know that you would like to go with this choice, but you should totally listen to me. We should go with my choice because it has this, this, and this, and your choice has that, and my choice is this. Even though your choice is good at these points, I have some pretty good points, plus it's cheaper, and your option is like too expensive. So this is kind of how you want to deal with task 5. In terms of rhythm, tones, and but in terms of, she kind of had everything in terms of task fulfillment. So pay attention to time frame, pay attention to the time limit, and don't over explain why your suggestion, why your option is so good. Don't over explain it. Just use the stats that you have. Keep it simple, okay? But overall, pretty good. Thank you so much for participating. Let's move to the next one. This is test 1, task 5, part 2. Let's listen how the other student did the same task.
Hey Sally, I know you want to make the most out of Anna's 2-week break from school, and so do I. Your idea of enrolling her in a track and field camp is great, as it will make her understand how important it is to have a healthy and active lifestyle. Well, she's still very young. However, this is just sisterly advice. If you consider her passion for music, I think music camp would be the better option. I gave her this piano toy last year, right on her 7th birthday, and she loved it. And until now, she keeps bugging me to buy her a new and a real one. So why not help her hone her piano skills by enrolling her in this music camp where they offer basic lessons for piano and other instruments that she might be interested in. And cost-wise, it's only $150 for 10 days. $150 for 10 days. Meanwhile, Another thing about this track and field camp is that, don't you remember, she has a mild asthma, so she might not be able to take, vigorous activities when they're under the sun and stuff. So, and cost-wise, this is actually more expensive. So I only want the best for my niece, and yeah, I hope you consider my option.
Yeah. Um, I mean, this is good. I feel it's too bad. I mean, the pronunciation of the student is so good, and she's so well spoken, and she has a nice tonality, nice pronunciation, beautiful rhythm, and everything. However, the student makes a lot of pauses because this student doesn't understand the structure. Plus, it doesn't understand the time frame. This is 1 minute 32 seconds. Remember, except for task 1 and task 7, all the other tasks have 60 seconds for recording. Task 7 and task 1 are 90 seconds. Remember this, always remember this, okay? So the student did compare these, but this student compared it too long, and the explanation, you don't have to give explanation each time you compare these two stats. Just maybe one quick comment, or because you don't have time, you have like 60 seconds. You don't want to say like, okay, teaches children basic music symbols and rhythm. You don't want to say, you know how Kelly really likes to learn music, and you know how basic music symbols and rhythm are really good for kids. I really think you should go for this music camp because they include these things in this. You don't have time for that. You just say, hey, my music camp has basic music symbols and rhythm, and yours sucks because it doesn't have, plus she has asthma. How is she going to run around, in outdoors? Something like that. Just keep it more simple, of course. Don't say it like I do it. I didn't tell you this, all right? But basically, I'm trying to give you the picture on that you don't have to over-explain every choice you make here and every stat that you have within your choice. So if your choice is music camp, mention these stats, but don't over-explain it. If there is a time, because of a rhythm, because of the flow, because connectivity, you can use some additional comment here and there just to keep the flow going and to make it sound more natural. But don't over-explain it. So the student had long arguments. Yeah. Sorry, the student had a really good introduction here, but it was 27 seconds. The 27 seconds already passed, and I started to panic. And the student didn't even start comparing those two options, right? So it was talking about the introduction was too long. Yeah, you don't have time for 27 to 30 seconds of introduction. You have only 1 minute here. But overall, thanks for participation. This looks pretty nice. So do we have another example here? Just a second. Test part 2. Okay, so let's move to test 1, task 6. Test 1, task 6. What is it? It's difficult. It's about difficult choice here. You and Mike work in a department store, and Mike is talking to a customer who wants to return a coffee maker he bought there. The customer doesn't have his receipt, but you remember selling him the coffee maker the day before. Mike is refusing to refund the coffee maker, but the customer is getting upset and just wants his money back. So you have to either choose to explain to Mike that you should sold the coffee maker to the man the day before, that you sold the coffee maker to the man before, not should, and he should give a full refund. Or explain to the customer that the store policy is that you must have the original receipt to return an item, so he cannot get a refund for the coffee maker. Let's listen to test 1, task 6.
Hi Smith, I know we are sorry about your coffee maker. So I know I know we have bought the coffee maker from our shop, and we had a bad experience. We are really sorry about it. But when we are coming to the shop for return any coffee maker, then you should bring the return the receipt. So as per the company policy, without receipt we cannot return any product, even it's electronics and non-electronics. So I would suggest to try to find that receipt, which is very important for us to make a return. So yeah, and what I can suggest is like if you can bring the whole product with the like uh, maybe you can try find that barcode.
Okay, not really good in terms of introduction, and like the beginning and the end, they're not so good. So here you can see that this student needs to have structure. You need to have a beginning, you need to have an end. The good thing is that the student provided the explanation. He chose the option and he provided some kind of suggestion, but it wasn't really clear. So you need to be more clear and yeah, more clear about this. So basically, okay, so there was too much hesitation. The pauses were too long. The student needs a lot of confidence. Remember, shoulders back, chin up, smile, record yourself. It doesn't matter. It's not a mistake here. This is the place where you can make a mistake as you practice. So over time, you will get more confidence. You will get more familiar with the structure. He gave the idea to find a receipt one more time. You cannot return this without having a receipt. Listen, I like this student so much, and it's really hardworking student. You can see that when the attitude is good and when attitude is right and correct, then everything is pretty much possible. And this student is so hardworking, and the student put so much effort here. Let's listen to. I basically explained to him that he needs to provide better arguments for his choice, an explanation for his choice, and of course he needs to provide a better solution. So let's listen to task 1, task 6. After I corrected the student, how did he sound later?
Okay, so let me speak. So Smith, I know you have some issue with the coffee maker. We are extremely sorry about it. So I'd like to tell you without receipt we cannot refund any amount to you because as per the company policy we have to follow all the rules and regulations. So what I can do for you, you can try another day, so you can find your receipt. Otherwise, maybe you can bring the credit card that has been used, and we will try to find that credit card number in our system. If it found, then we'll try to give you some store credit so that we can purchase some other product or same product here. So I hope we give a proper solution for this experience. Thank you.
Well, okay, the student here obviously the student still hesitated a lot. The student still made a lot of pauses. Good thing he was within the time frame. Okay, so it was really good. It was much better. He improved on his coherence. So the student was right now more understandable, more clear, and more coherent. So that was really good. He provided some really nice arguments, and the student provided some nice suggestions on how to deal with this situation. All right. So when we practice, I always tell my students, write it down on a piece of paper first. Use these mind mappings that you have. Take a look at these keys and strategies and most important tips that you have in these images. They're going to be helpful to you. So first, you write it down, write down the structure, follow the task fulfillment, read it, record yourself. If it's too long, make it shorter, see where you can cut it down, try to make it more clear. You don't have to speak too fast. You can speak more clear, but as long as it has a nice rhythm, a nice flow, and the tonality is pretty good too. At this point, you see that the tone was okay, but you need to be more believable. The more believable situation would be when you're apologizing. You don't say, so, okay, this is a bad situation. Never mind, we can help you this. Maybe you can try this. Here's a solution, right? You want to say hey, sir, I'm really sorry. I know this is a difficult situation for you. I really apologize, but unfortunately, we cannot do much for you. We would like to help you, and so on and so forth. I think we have still some time left for our next task. Let me see. This is task 1. Task 3, task 2. Okay, let's move forward. Task 3, Task 2. Talk about a time when you helped someone. Maybe you can talk about helping a family member, a classmate, or a total stranger. Where were you? How did you help them? And how did it make you feel? So remember, the most important things here are friend is going this talk about a time when you helped someone. This is the first thing. Then, where were you? How did you help them? And how did it make you feel? The second sentence is just, suggestions. What can you talk about? But the most important things are first and the last sentence. So let's take a listen. This is task 3, task 2. Let's play it.
I would like to talk about a time when I helped someone who was my cousin, first cousin, and the help what he needed was he was continuously getting failed in mathematics examination for consecutive two years. He came up to me and he discussed with me that this is the situation and I want to come up with that. I helped him. We conducted sessions wherein I taught him the mathematics, probably provided him some books also, until he was able to clear the examination, and he was really happy. And moreover, on top of that, once the result was out, he was passed, he came to me, he was very thankful, very kind, and he really thanked God that he has cleared the examination after making the third attempt, just because I was able to help him. Thank you.
Okay, you want to end, and that was a situation. Maybe you need, maybe you can use a better wrap up. This was good, but only 54 seconds. You had 6 seconds left. It's important. You need to speak until the end. You can end with something. And that was a moment when I felt so proud when I was helping someone. Or you can start with, I know it's not easy to talk about when you help someone, or maybe, people are not comfortable about talking. People are not comfortable with talking about these things. But then again, I don't know, you can think about some maybe nicer. The intro was good, but the wrap up, the conclusion was not maybe the best, right? So apart from this, you had a really nice story here. Maybe you wanted to be more clear about what kind of, okay, it's a math exam. It took like 2 years for your nephew or brother. I'm not sure who he was. Sorry, you said it. I forgot. I didn't write it down. But it took him 2 years to pass. So it was really difficult. Maybe you want to talk about like the bonding experience, like emotionally how you both felt. You can use better emotions to explain how you felt when you conquered this, when he passed the exam in the end. So how did it make you feel? Proud? Try to use better words. Try to use maybe some stronger words. Google the synonyms for proud, for feeling great about this accomplishment. How did it make you feel? So you said it, but you can do it better. Where were you and how did you help them? Okay, so you explained that. In terms of task fulfillment, this looks pretty good, but again, you weren't in a time frame, and your biggest hiccup here was long pauses. You made long pauses. By that I mean it was probably too. When you start speaking, it was not too long, but just long enough to be itchy, if you know what I mean. It's just when you start speaking, you are speaking like this, and this is pretty much your rhythm as you're talking. So it's not too long, but long enough, so it's kind of, I like it, So you need to have a better flow. Here, so as I said, introduction is nice, tonality overall is pretty good too. So this is it for today, guys. We're going to continue with my students' recordings next class. And from the 10th and 15th class, this is pretty much what we are going to be doing in these video lessons. In this course, I will be giving feedbacks to my students writing homework, and I will be giving feedbacks to my students speaking recordings. So yeah, thank you so much for being with me. Again, if the sound was not so good, you can pause the video anytime and play it one more time. Remember, practice makes perfect. You got it. It's here. You just need to practice it long enough so you become so confident so you can ace this speaking part. Good luck, guys, and I will see you in the next class. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Bye-bye.